Welcome to fall color, my favorite time of year, concerning bonsai anyway. I love watching my trees turn color, showing me that they're truly seasonal pieces of artwork. This is a little group that I put together probably 12, 13 years ago. It's Liqud Amber. It always gets spectacular fall color, as you can see. But this year I did not defoliate it. I'm afraid to do defoliation every year. So the leaves are bigger than they would normally be. After a defoliation, the leaves are about that big, half the size of what they are here. Way more proportional, and actually get a more intense color, if you can believe that. What I think we're going to do here is I'm going to take, probably 70% of the leaves off of this, like I'm prepping it for a fall show, and you'll be able to see the structure of the trees and the overall presentation of the forest, and just with a little incidental color, which looks even more dramatic, and I'll be able to just leave the small, more proportional leaves. So with that, let's get to work. This thing is surprisingly heavy for as shallow a pot as that is. There's a lot of lumber in that pot. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to try and eliminate the largest of the leaves, keeping in mind the brilliant factor. These are all gone. I want to get the bulk of the leaves off so you can really see how twiggy these trees are. I mean, this isn't one of my best pieces, but it's a pretty good forest example, which there aren't a whole lot of those out there. A fall show is the most difficult show to pull off with quality fall color. The window of fall color is so narrow. I was the show chairman of the Marin Bonsai Club, and my probably best brainchild was the fall show at the Marin Bonsai Club, where we had a dinner and a demonstration and a really colorful bonsai show. But what was so good about it was that we had really good fall color. Marin County sets up weather-wise pretty well for fall color. It was really well received by the community, and we one of our oldest, loyalist bonsai members in Marin Club was the owner of a restaurant, and he would provide the food. He was a fabulous chef and had pretty good trees and always seemed to get good fall color, so he was always fully on board with the fall show. So as you can see, the structures are beginning to emerge. I'm trying to get the biggest leaves off the trees, even if they're spectacular color. So proportionality is always the most important thing in bonsai. Now these are Liqud Amber, so even the smallest leaves are not amazingly proportional, but it's this tree is appreciated for its fall color. It's kind of boring most of the year, but come fall, this baby loves to perform. Once I get more of the leaves off, I'm going to show you that with a forest, to create truly realistic forestry that I have a lot of little shoots that are growing up out of the trees that's creating what I consider a more realistic forest grouping, because that's the way a forest would build itself. So some people might be cutting those little shoots off, and with most of my bonsai that would be the case, but with forests, that's kind of the one exception to the rule, is those new sucker shoots. Sometimes I'll cut them off, but a lot of times I'll just leave them. Starting to get pretty thinned out here. Once again, trying to eliminate the larger leaves and get down to just the most brilliant ones and more proportional size-wise. All right.
You're picking which leaves to leave.
I'm just kind of going fast. I'm trying to get down. You can see these leaves here. Those are what a lot of the leaves look like size-wise on years that I defoliate. But this year I didn't. Been very busy with work, so a few of the trees got a little overlooked this year with the amount of work that I've been procuring. I'm building Japanese gardens now, so starting to get a little bit of a reputation, and it's really fun. I love to create, and creating the Japanese outlook is even more fun for me. So it's fun to be me, but my trees are a victim of my success. I haven't been as on it as I normally would or could be, but I still keep them in okay shape. When you're pulling these leaves off early, it's the opposite when you defoliate in late spring or early summer. You want to cut that petiole down to less than a third, probably a quarter, so it dries up, falls off, and re-leaves. Where in the fall, you want to leave the petiole, which is the little stalk between the leaf and the end of the branch. What my master always told me, has sugars in it that actually drain out of the petiole into the bud and strengthens that bud even in its final moments of the end of the growing year. So if you're doing this, you want to leave at least half to 3/4 of the petiole so that energy can drain back into the bud. Now we're starting to see a little structure. One thing, if you want to achieve fall color, you got to have a reasonable amount of sunshine at this time of year. That is what makes the leaves turn color. Okay. As you can see, structure quite a bit more evident. So, little tip for those of you who might have a fall show and part of the leaves have, turned brown or spent, and don't be afraid to get rid of those spent leaves and just go down to a minimal amount of leaves. I've had a few people over lately, and they didn't even realize that bonsai trees do everything a regular tree does. It's just living in a pot instead of in the ground, which is why I love it. It's kind of the mystique of bonsai, showing the seasons. All right, now you're able to see quite a bit more of the structures, and it's still got a very fall-y look. And you see how dramatic most of the leaves are, only just the smallest ones. So for those of you, as I said, lucky enough to have a fall show in your future, this is a good way to present one of your bonsai and eliminate proportional flaws, if you will, to present your tree better in a fall show. All right, here we have a couple more examples of some fall color. I'm really excited about this. This is a cherry. This was grown by a guy up in the foothills. His name's Dylan. And he wires the trees before while they're growing in the ground. As you can see, the spectacular movement of this tree, and he's really good at creating fabulous nabari as well. I've enhanced the tree, of course, with wire, but great fall color. Little big on the leaves, but I'm going to try defoliation next year. This has only been out of the ground 2 years, but like I said, I'm very excited about this tree. This is another maple that I procured at a nursery. It was about 8 feet tall. As you can see here, this was a big cylinder of wood that went up to about here, and then it branched out from there. This is Japanese hornbeam, not a Korean hornbeam, but a Japanese hornbeam. It has bigger leaves and only gets yellow, not orange like the Korean hornbeam. But it's a good tree. It's small, but I got it pretty twigged out. Still got a few of the yellow leaves. But here again, what I do is I just leave the best small leaves on the tree. Get rid of the brown ugly ones. Still got to do a little more of that over here. But you can see just the sprinkling of color is very visually advantageous, I think. Good luck with your trees, and if you don't have a fall show in your future, maybe bring that up to the board. And because there's very, very few fall shows out there, and I think it's the most fun show that you can have in bonsai. So take that to the board. Let's put it in the suggestion box. Anyway, adios.